Hey guys, well, I am in Georgia. It is 68 degrees and sunny. Parked a little bit in the shade here. Just got back from a Starbucks and I got my sweatshirt off. And that vitamin D, the sun, it does encourage you. It does make you feel better. Science proves it, that our bodies, our mental well-being, including our physical well-being, which they're both connected, it plays a part in the amount of exposure you get to the sunlight. That's why many depressed people who stay indoors all day harm themselves. But many people who live in certain states don't have the opportunity, like I didn't for years, to be out in the sun. So there's value in getting outside and being in a climate environment that, for me, sunlight is available and warm weather is available. But in this video, that's one aspect of life, I think, that improves our well-being, mind and body. Another part of life that you can never avoid is financial well-being. Financial problems are what is considered to be the #1 reason for divorce at this time. If you look it up, depending on what studies you look at, it's financial adultery or financial problems that cause more divorces than physical adultery, sleeping with someone else. And it is financial stress that weighs on the mind, even when you're doing good, that hurts the quality of life. It's the financial, sometimes stress we put on ourselves for wanting more, and the financial stress we want to know that we'll always at least be okay. We want the financial security to always know that we would at least be able to feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, and live a life of dignity. Last night in South Carolina, I stopped at a Starbucks about 7 o'clock at night, something like that, and there was a lady outside in her 30s, dressed nice, with a baby in a carriage, holding a sign asking for money. Now, what they call a panhandler. Now, I always have mixed emotions. Could she be playing a game? Could she be serious? I don't know. Did I give her money? No. She had all her limbs and everything. Certainly she could have worked, but certainly if you've ever been broken in life, and some people haven't been broken in life, I have, you realize that, that could be you at any time. Now, I don't know if that would be me. I mean, I've always been a worker. I've never had any government assistance or anything like that. Of course, my parents have helped me at different times when I was younger. But I've always been a worker, never been, lazy, even though, I would like to not do anything, but I've always worked. But I say that to say, in my view, a universal basic income of $2,000 a month would ensure that you would never have to worry, is someone lying or someone deceiving, or everyone would have dignity, and you would know that everyone has the financial ability to provide the basic essentials for their life and live a life of dignity. And if they wanted more, like many people want more, that's why many people go after promotions like I've done, and many people build their career. If you want more, then you work for more and you do whatever. But in the richest country in the world, and in any country in the world, that's why overseas and in many countries, that's why there is instability. It's because of poverty, not because of religion. All that stuff is used, religion, patriotism, to control people. At the core of every instability is financial insecurity. And that financial inequality builds up a level of resentment, builds up problems, builds up anger, and eventually it spoils over. And that's why there's been debate in America over the past couple of years about universal basic income. I want you to research it. I want you to do your own studies on it. Who cares if they call you liberal? Who cares if they call you conservative? Because at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want. You can change the culture. You can change the future. Just like women changed the future for equality for them and for the rights for them, just like minorities and every other group that had to fight, union workers, every group that had to fight for their rights, for what they wanted. And many people mocked them. Many people mocked women when they spoke up and they asked for what they wanted. Many people mocked minorities. Some sense, in some realities, hurt them. And many people were harsh on union workers when they changed the course of certain working rights. I'm not saying that all those things didn't have different nuances to them. But what I'm here to tell you is, in today's culture, if you speak up, you're automatically, oh, you're a lazy millennial, you're this or that. But the truth is, you are creating your own future, a better future. And if any parent is worth their weight in salt, they have one wish, that the future is better for their children than them. But there's many people who are spiteful. They don't want your future to be better than theirs. But dignity for older people, the average Social Security in America, with 35% of retired people depend on Social Security, is between $1,200 to $1,400 a month. You couldn't even pay rent and feed yourself on average with that amount of income. So universal basic income would include senior citizens. If they know they had at least $2,000 a month, that's a blessing. And that would cause, in my view, it wouldn't make everything perfect, but that would cause a huge point of stress. Somebody want to be a stay-at-home parent, but they wonder if they stay at home, will they sacrifice their career? And then years later, if they wanted to get a divorce, would they be pigeonholed because then they have no career to fall back on? How can they leave an abusive relationship if they have financial insecurity? They can't. And so they are caught in the cracks of the system. In the richest country in the world, right now, there are people in an unhealthy relationship that can't leave because they don't have financial freedom. There are people right now living a life of depression and misery because they don't have the financial security to go out there and try to start their dream. There are older people living with their parents or living with their spouse that it's a resentful, unhealthy situation, but they know that they can't survive economically without the support of others. Universal basic income, in my opinion, would help change some of that. I do believe it. And I believe that if Donald Trump got at least $1 million loan from his father, and some people say it was $60 million, in today's marketplace would be equivalent to, with inflation, be equivalent to $140 million loan that he got from his father to start his business. Is that equality? That's capitalism on steroids. That's what that is. Where money just continues to trickle to the top. It goes from generation to generation. And middle class gets eliminated, and studies show that middle class has grown slower. And, even if everything stays the same, the bottom line is, to make society better, to have a bottom, you have some type of universal basic income, and that goes up with inflation. And there's just a level of dignity to society and less stress. I often say it. I'm blessed, I work a good job, but I'm always thinking in the back of my mind, because I've been on both sides of the table, that if I lose my job, I go back to making zero. And I got to put the pedal to the metal. I got to get back on that rat race and make sure I get another job quick. Because savings, if you have to ever dip into savings, it goes very fast. I've been there. And then you're right back in the situation where you have to start doing favor for a favor. Okay? You have to start hanging ceiling fans for free to hope someone else gives you a job opportunity. You got to start doing this for that person, calling this person. You got to beg for opportunity. You got to beg. You got to lose your dignity. And so these are my thoughts, okay, about life. Because no matter how simple you live, and I live as simple as you can live, in a car and out of one bag. And I work a full-time job, and I obey the laws. I go to campgrounds and do different things. And what I can tell you is everything costs. Everything costs money. And you need at least a couple grand a month net to live a decent life, to pay for what you need to pay for, not even including health insurance, which, again, America is the only industrialized modern nation that does not have some type of government health care, basic government health care. Europe has it. Canada has it. And I see many Canadians down in Florida doing a lot better than us with health care. We're behind the 8 ball. We're behind the 8 ball as Americans, not ahead. We're not leading. We're following. We're following the generations of wealth trickle down. The generations that have been handed down, inherited wealth, and they dictate and they make policy. And as soon as someone tries to speak up and tries to put a new policy, they're mocked and they're called names. Just like women were, just like minorities were, just like every group that fought for their rights, they were mocked before they were given it to them. Never forget that. And that's what I want to share in this video. Some people ain't going to like it, but you know what? That's part of what has happened to every person that has spoke up for what they believe. Forward.